name is Zarif Danish Imran from L62, the deputy editor of YSF. And I will be hosting the fourth YSF Talk for today. So I chose this topic, food. Not only does it contain 4 letters, but it's an interesting topic to me. I love food. I have a passion to learn about the nutrients and what's good for my body and what's not good for my body. So without spending any more time, I will be talking about cravings for today, food preferences, and a little bit of food for thought, and also the traditional Q&A session. So the first topic for today will be about cravings. Now, what I would like you guys to do now is sit straight and take a deep breath and focus on this diagram right here. So what I would like you guys to do now is concentrate on the hexagon right here and try to, I'm breathing too loud, try to focus and identify what you are craving the most right now. Okay? If you don't have anyone, let me help you out. Are you planning to go back home after this to buy something from Jollibee? Or are you craving for some spicy noodles, samyang? Or are you looking for something to dip in soy sauce and wasabi? Sushi? Or are you craving for something big, something meaty, something cheesy? I'm sorry. So, jokes aside, cravings, according to a dictionary, means a powerful desire for something. In the context of food, it means that it is an intense desire for a specific food, and a person's hunger may not be satisfied until they get that particular food. But this doesn't mean that you're not grateful or anything. So, you might be wondering, what differs cravings from hunger? Cravings may be caused by negative feelings and can occur even after eating. And it is mainly controlled by the mind and can be explained more towards the psychological means. While hunger occurs when you have not eaten for a few hours, and it is moderated and regulated by the body and can be explained in physiological means. So even though I said cravings can be explained more towards psychological means, but there is also a physiological explanation as to how cravings can be solved. So when you satisfy a craving, the reward center of your brain activates. It releases a neurotransmitter called dopamine that triggers the feeling of pleasure. And sometimes it can be also induced by stress and anxiety. Psychologically explaining this, your brain ties the food to a memory because your brain is connected to areas associated with memory and behavior, and specifically the hippocampus. So I'm gonna give you a situation, okay? Let's say you eat something, you feel happy, you feel contented. Your brain registers that memory in your brain, in the hippocampus, as a happy memory. So the next time you're trying to recall that memory, that happy memory, the craving develops. So fun fact, or not, an imbalance of hormones such as serotonin can also cause food cravings, which is more common in women. So an imbalance of hormones, one of them includes serotonin, and another is the stress hormone called cortisol. And it can disrupt your, and especially women, when women are in their periods, there's an imbalance of hormones, there's a lot going on, so it may disrupt the balances. This is an fMRI image of the parts of the brain that activates when you are craving for something. fMRI means functioning magnetic resonance imaging. So last week I conducted a survey. I think most of you have seen this question, what are you craving the most right now? And out of all the 63 responses, 41.3% of the 63 responses voted for spicy noodles and fried food, followed by salty foods, chocolate, and ice, water, and cold fizzy drinks. So there's actually an explanation as to why you're craving those specific foods. So if you're craving for chocolate, you might be lacking in magnesium. So solve by eating magnesium-rich foods such as salmon, tuna, and some nuts. Or if you still insist on chocolate, go for dark chocolate. It's much healthier, contains less sugar, and may also decrease blood pressure. If you're craving for fried food, however, you might be lacking in omega-3 fatty acids. So kill the crave by eating some nuts, which is high in fats, or make some avocado toast. If you're craving for salty food, you're probably overstressed. Avoid potato chips and go for snacks, healthy snacks, which is high in fats and protein such as cashews and walnuts. And last but not least, if you're craving for water, you're definitely dehydrated. And the most simplest way to solve it, drink water. So talking about specific foods, right? How many of you, okay, let me ask you a question. How many of you are picky eaters? That includes me. Okay. So talking about, have you ever wondered why you like this food and why you don't like this food? So food preferences is, in a nutshell, it is being selected with what you eat. In a more English manner, it is the evaluative attitudes that people express towards foods. And it is actually trying to say that how much you like that food and how much you dislike that food. So what affects your food preferences? Have you ever thought about it? Your food preferences can be affected by your culture, your genetics, your environment, and age and gender. This is also another excerpt from my survey. From a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you like vegetables? And the modal rating is 3. So for those of you who have voted for 1 or 2, you need to work out your vegetables. So to explain food preferences more, may I introduce you to one of my good friends from psychology, Laney et al. So Laney et al, or Laney and friends, they are a group of psychologists from different universities led by Carol Laney. They made a survey, they made a journal, they made a study, an experimental study on asparagus, titled Asparagus: A Love Story, which was conducted in 2008. So let me just get the asparagus out of the way. So what Laney et al. Is trying to investigate in their experiment is that they want to investigate if implanting positive false memories of loving asparagus can affect the eating habits and increase the intention to eat asparagus. They are also trying to investigate if implanting positive false memories of it can have consequences, and specifically positive consequences. I'm just gonna go a bit sciencey in this section, so bear with me. So what Laney et al. Has done to the participants is that they asked their participants to complete a series of questionnaires for a study between food preferences and personality. They randomly assigned their participants into 2 groups, which is the love group and the control group. The questionnaire was filled and analyzed over a week. Profiles were generated for their childhood experiences of a certain food. And for the love group profiles, they had a critical item that says, "You love to eat cooked asparagus." So I think some of you don't understand, so let me just break this down. So let's say I don't know how many of you, let's say I randomly assign some of you to the love group and to the control group. What I'm going to do to the love group is that I'm trying to convince you that you like asparagus. Therefore, so the results, not only did the subjects fall for the suggestion that they loved asparagus, but they also, about half of them were convinced that they loved asparagus. 1 week later, when shown a photograph of asparagus, they rated it as more appetizing. So I can say this, that if you don't like to eat something, but it is actually good for you, it is actually possible for you to convince yourself to eat what you don't like. can back this up with another survey, another question from a survey. Have you ever tried convincing yourself to eat something that you do not like? And most of them said yes. So a little bit of food for thought. So in this segment, I will give a little shout out to the previous talkers on migraine, Faris, and sleep deprivation by caring. So, okay, so don't mind him, he's just having a migraine. So recalling back to the first talk, migraines cause throbbing pain or a pulsing sensation usually on one side of the head, while me over there, I'm holding both sides of my head. Symptoms of migraines can also include food cravings and increased thirst and urination. And some causes of migraines may include too much caffeine and processed foods. Fasting may also trigger migraines. So to prevent future migraine attacks, consume more foods rich in vitamin B2, which during the fasting month, I think we usually eat dates. Vitamin B2 is also rich, dates are also rich in vitamin B2. Don't mind him too, okay? He's just sleep deprived. He's a 6'4". So, recalling back to the third YSF talk, sleep deprivation occurs when an individual gets less sleep than they need. Symptoms of sleep deprivation includes increased appetite and carbohydrate cravings, which is why people tend to gain more weight when they don't get enough sleep. Causes of sleep deprivation is when someone does not get enough sleep, obviously. Teens need at least 8 hours of sleep, while adults, like most of us, require at least 7 hours of sleep. And I could say at this point, it is deemed to be impossible. So, reduce the, if you're a caffeine holic, or if you tend to drink tea and coffee, reduce the consumption. And also eat more almonds and walnuts, because these specific nuts are high in melatonin, which is the sleep-inducing hormone. So before, I would like to end my talk with a quote that I just made up. So, okay, I'm trying to make this deep as I can. And I quote, "Food is not just a necessity, it's a life force. You only live once, and you only have one body, so take care of yourself. Eat well, eat good, eat wisely, but most importantly, eat to live." Thank you.